Hi friends, Mr. DeJordy here, and I am going to show you today how we use the RDW times 2 strategy to solve word problems. So I am going to put a word problem up here, and we are going to solve it. So, and when we get to the step of solving it, we are going to determine, we have to determine whether we're going to add or subtract to solve it. So once we conclude whether we needed to add or subtract, we are going to use either partial sum or partial difference as our method to add or subtract. There's lots of different ways to add and subtract. This video is just showing one of those ways. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read my problem, and then I'm going to text code it for understanding. So Wilma washed the dishes for her mom. She washed 37 plates and 16 cups. How many more plates than cups did Wilma wash? So I read my problem. Now I'm going to text code it. So text coding is simply highlighting the important parts out of that word problem that I need to be able to solve it. So what's one thing I know here? Well, Wilma washed dishes for her mom. She washed 37 plates, so I know that she washed 37 plates, so that's going to be a K. And 16 cups, so that's going to be a K. And that's really all I know from here so far, because the rest of it is not really something I know, it's something I want to know. So 37 plates, 16 cups. What do I want to know? Well, I want to know how many more plates than cups did Wilma wash. So I'm going to say how many more, I'm going to circle this because this word is really important, plates and cups. And that's my W. So now I've taken that word problem. If you notice what I've underlined and highlighted here, it really condensed it down. These are the important things. 37 plates and 16 cups. How many more plates than cups? So, for me to move on to this D, which is determine, I got to determine what math operation I need to use to solve this. Are they asking me to add or are they asking me to subtract? And I'm going to say that I believe that they're asking me to subtract. Why do I feel that way? Well, I feel that way because they are asking me here how many more plates than cups. They're asking me to compare, to look at the difference between how many plates and cups were washed. They're not asking me how many plates and cups were washed in all, so they're not asking me to group them. If they were asking me to group them, then I would need to use the operation of addition. But they're not. They're asking me to compare them. They want to know how many more of one did Wilma wash than the other. So how many more plates than cups did she wash? So I'm going to say that I'm going to determine that we are using subtraction. And I'm going to move this over here because we don't really need this right now. And I'm going to write that we're going to use this subtraction. We're going to use partial difference. So when we use partial difference, we are going to put our numbers, 37, and we are going to subtract. So I'm going to put my minus symbol, and I'm going to subtract the 16 cups. And that's going to tell us how many more plates than cups. We already know that this is a bigger number. We want to know how much bigger. So when we try to figure that out, it's subtraction. So when we use partial difference, we break up our numbers into their place values. So there's 2 place values in this number, and there's 2 place values in this number. So I'm going to break them up into their tens and their ones. So 37 has how many tens? 3. Another way to say 3 tens is 30. And the number 37 has 7 ones. Another way to say that is 7 ones. In the number 16, we have 110. Another way to say 110 is 10. And we have 6 ones. Another way to say that is 6 ones. And then once we have them broken up into their place values, we are going to subtract them. We're going to scoop them up together and we're going to subtract them. So just like we do when we do addition, we're just doing the opposite operation. So I have 7, and I'm going to take away, and I'm going to put that little minus there so it reminds me. 7 minus 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. So if I had 7, I take away 6, I get 1. Now I'm going to go to my tens, and I'm going to link those two, and I'm going to say 30 minus 10. Well, lots of times when we have big numbers like that, I like to look at it like I cover those zeros, and I say to myself, well, what is 3 minus 1? That's really easy to do for me. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So if 3 minus 1 is 2, then 30 minus 10 is 20, because we just put that 0 back on. And we get 20. Now this is where it can be a little tricky for friends using partial difference, because once we have broken apart our place values and then we have done the subtraction in the tens and in the ones, then that final step is that we need to add these two together. So now we know how many tens we had left and we know how many ones we had left. So we're going to put them together to find out how many tens and ones we had left. So 20 plus 1 equals 21. So I'm going to say that 37 minus 16 equals 21. And this is a number sentence right here. So I've already written a number sentence. If I wanted to write it vertically instead of horizontally, I could also put it here. 37 minus 16 equals 21. And then the last step when I'm using this problem-solving strategy is I need to write a statement. And when I write a statement, that's when I look back at these words in the number sentence and I use the words to write the answer that I have. So I've now discovered that Wilma washed 21 more plates than cups. And that's my my statement. And that is how we solve a word problem that is asking us to subtract using the partial difference.